Hi David, thanks so much for being here today and
Pleasure.
talking to us about Grind. Tell me about your journey to running a multi-million-pound business.
Like all journeys, it's been an unexpected one. I started by just converting my dad's old mobile phone shop on Old Street Roundabout into a coffee shop. And I did that as a side project at the time around another business, but kind of fell in love with it, started to really enjoy it. So raised some money externally from, first some high net worth investors and then a few rounds of crowdfunding. And today we have 10 sites in different areas around London. And, going into lockdown, we had a pipeline of additional sites planned. Look, it's been an amazing journey. We've got tons of stuff wrong, as you would expect, but I think, on balance, we've managed to get slightly more right than we have wrong. And we're still going and we're getting there and surviving at the moment, which has kind of been the story of 2020.
And there's been a real explosion in coffee shops in recent years, with speculation that they might outnumber pubs by 2030. And it's independents as well as the chains. What do you think about that?
We've grown over the years and we now incorporate coffee and food and cocktails. And, to be a small part of this massive industry that has evolved, so much in 10 years has been amazing. And I think it absolutely will carry on. Whether it'll outnumber pubs or not, I'm not sure, but it seems like a very, very resilient sector, even at the moment.
So what makes Grind different?
I think what makes Grind different is that we're now evolved into, looking after all of the different day parts. So much more than just coffee, food and alcohol 7 days a week in spaces which are much bigger. So over the years, we've evolved away from kind of a traditional takeaway coffee store. And now we continue to evolve into the at-home space, selling coffee through our website and channels like Selfridges and Harvey Nichols and Ocado, and also supplying wholesale partners like, for example, Soho House globally. We supply them. So we keep just evolving the brand and trying to keep it fresh and current, which I think is so important, right? Because in a high street business particularly, I think if you stop evolving and you stop developing, you die very fast. And I think there's plenty of evidence of that at the moment.
What is it about coffee? What's the magic behind coffee that enables you to grow and do all these new different things? What's keeping people interested?
We didn't come into this as kind of coffee geeks or coffee experts. I came into this with a store that I thought would make a really good coffee shop and wine bar and kind of work backwards from there. And I think actually that lead in to opening the first site kind of changed how we looked at things quite a lot, because we really looked at it from the customer's perspective, not the barista's perspective. So it was about what does the customer want to drink, not what does the barista want to make, because people in the industry tend to be very focused on espresso and things like that. But, in reality, 80% of our drinks are milk-based. So we just try and make the absolute best product that we can. We roast it ourselves in Elephant and Castle, just up the road from here. We have the best equipment, highly trained baristas, and we try, we really focus on speed and consistency as well. So I think it's about trying to take the mass market into specialty coffee for us. It's not just about trying to appeal to kind of the fringes of, the very, very specialty people.
How are coffee drinking habits changing?
I think coffee drinking habits have changed a lot over the last few years. I think, the best example for me is when we started in 2011, people used to come into the store and they didn't know what a flat white was. And I used to hear the staff explaining, okay, this is what a flat white is. This is how it's different to a latte. Fast forward 10 years, McDonald's have TV adverts mocking flat white culture, how ridiculous it is, and come and get a coffee for 99p. So that's a great kind of demonstration to me of the arc that this thing has followed. What we're seeing now is just a massive move to at-home coffee, clearly fueled by the COVID lockdown. And certainly our sales through our online store have exploded. And I know that similar things are happening in the US because people want to recreate that cafe experience at home. So, that's by far the biggest trend in 2020 is this shift from on the go to at home.
Okay. And are people concerned with where their coffee is coming from? Are we becoming more discerning about that?
I think we are, but we've always stayed away from, having pictures of farmers and having posters up saying that everything we buy is fair trade and hammering that into people, because, I think for brands like us, kind of the next generation of digital brands, I think, customers build loyalty with them through various different channels, digitally and in store. And that's just an expectation. Like, of course our coffee is fair trade. In fact, it's not fair trade, it's directly traded, which is much better than fair trade. Like, of course we understand the supply chain. Of course we use the best milk and things like that. We don't have to hammer that into people. I think it's a hygiene factor now. It's expected. But I think, there are people who do still want to dig into it. So it's really important that you have the answers and you can say, yeah, this is organic soil trade certified, or this is, whatever other accreditation. And of course our Nespresso pods are compostable and we wouldn't add to the single-use plastic problem. But it's kind of an expectation now, I think.
What's the most exciting thing for you about your business?
I think, look, 2020 has clearly been a very challenging year for anyone involved in hospitality in any way. So I think the most exciting thing is that we're surviving, and we have survived. And our online and at-home business has exploded through lockdown, as I mentioned, and just kind of going on that journey now and trying to really take advantage of that whilst we wait for people to come back into the centre of London, because they're not doing that yet. But if we can maintain the at-home piece and London goes back to normal, we'll have a much bigger business than we did going into lockdown. So that's really exciting. These things always present opportunities in some way.
I was thinking a bit before about working from home, and I've got a nice coffee machine, and actually just taking 10 minutes to have a good coffee at home has really got me through the whole lockdown situation. Have you heard that from other people?
Yeah, we've heard that a lot. Lots of people, lots of our customers that were coming to our stores have obviously shifted into buying coffee to have at home. And, every day our Instagram is full of people mentioning us, saying, thank God my coffee just arrived. Thank God Grind getting me through lockdown. So, so we love seeing that stuff. It's really nice. And we think that's a massive opportunity for the future. And I think, we've had a lot of inbound requests actually from businesses asking us to, send out 500 tins to their staff members all across the country, just as a little thank you present to say, we know you're probably missing the Grind next to the office, so here's some Grind at home. And so little things like that are really, really nice, like that kind of human link back into our customers, even though they're now buying from us online, not face-to-face across the counter.
And we were talking a bit about buying online, but the whole subscription model is super interesting, isn't it? And I think that's expanded massively for lots of businesses throughout lockdown. How's it work for you?
Yeah, subscription is something we're really excited about. We've gone from a few hundred to many, many thousands of people subscribing now to get their Nespresso pods or their beans or ground coffee, in flat letterbox boxes through the post. And I'm subscribed to about 10 different things that I get to my house, all sorts of things. And, people just love the convenience. And with something like coffee, your consumption is pretty predictable. I've had 2 or 3 coffees a day for as long as I can remember, kind of come whatever weather, whatever circumstances. So I think it's nice to just set it and forget it on those kind of things when you find a brand and a product you like. And obviously for us on the manufacturing side, it means that it's very predictable in terms of sales, which helps our purchasing and helps us support farmers in other parts of the world kind of more consistently, because we know exactly what volumes are coming.
Apart from the obvious social distancing requirements, do you see anything else changing beyond COVID?
Look, I'm really hoping that the social distancing stuff is going to fall away fairly quickly as we either come to terms with it or get a vaccine for it, or a bit of both. So hopefully that will fall away, because Grind was built on very, very busy spaces that were buzzy and packed full of people all day, every day. And clearly that's challenging while operating social distancing. But I think, if people come back to work and when they come back to work will be the big change. Because, even right now, Central London is operating at 20% of the previous footfall levels. So, even if we get back to 90% of the previous footfall levels, most businesses on the high street can't afford a 10% drop in sales, because the margins have been squeezed so much over the years that there's not that much left. So, that's going to be the big question. When are people coming back to work? I've got every confidence that they will, but I don't know if they'll go back to 100%, and I don't know how long that will take. So that's going to be the big story for the next couple of years, I think.
I'm curious about this whole day to night model. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
One of the things that's great about Grind, and what our customers can tell, is that this wasn't a lot of people sat in a boardroom going, how can we extend the day parts and how can we sweat the asset better? You know, it was completely organic. And we just started selling coffee, and then we realized that we'd created somewhere that was quite cool and people wanted to hang out, and it felt crazy to kick them out at 7 p.m. So we started serving 4 cocktails, you know, and it was just basically, you know, my favorite cocktails. And then it kind of just evolved very organically from there. But it turns out if you can convince people to come back for a cocktail at night, then you can extend the day part of your business, and you know, you can get a lot more revenue out of the same space where you pay rent 24 hours a day. So that is very helpful in terms of building a business that can be funded and can be expanded. So, you know, our second site, we focused a bit more on the cocktails, and then our fourth site, which was this one actually, we put our first kitchen in. And so we've evolved to just give people more of what they want based on what customers said, you know, and it turns out if you can have a full kitchen making food, people are more likely to come and they're more likely to stay and drink 5 cocktails instead of 2 cocktails. So it's really just evolved to the point where, you know, some of our sites pre-lockdown anyway, closed at 2 a.m. and reopened at 7 a.m. So, you know, not far from 24-hour, 7-day-a-week trading, which is one of the great things about London, is that, you know, there are always people around and always people who want to go out and have a good time. And hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
And what are you most proud of, David?
Look, it's been amazing to build a business and scale it in London, which, you know, I think London's the best city in the world, and I don't believe any of this stuff you read about the demise of London. You know, London will be back and better than ever. So being able to build a business that can impact a few 100,000 people, if not into the millions of people who are going by our stores, is amazing. And I found out last year that Grind is in the Knowledge now for black cabbies. So I love that as a Londoner.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, so you have to, you know, one of the questions was, you know, Heathrow Airport to Soho Grind, or, you know, Piccadilly Circus to Covent Garden Grind or something. So I love that. You know you've made it when you're in the Knowledge, right?
Oh, definitely. That's brilliant. What's the future for Grind?
I think if you'd asked me that a year ago, you'd had a very different answer today. You know, I think the future of the business now feels like it's more skewed towards taking coffee into people's homes, our compostable Nespresso pods, and engaging with people digitally, because clearly that's necessary. You know, the high street is how we've built the brand and is super important, and we will continue to grow and we will continue to add stores and hopefully expand internationally. But I think, you know, the foot will be coming off the high street pedal a little bit and going down on the kind of digital and online pedal a little bit, because you have to. You know, the last 6 months you know, there's been 6 years of shift towards online in 6 months. You know, it's ramped up unbelievably. So you have to respond to that. And luckily, we started building the manufacturing and the supply chain for the online business 2 years ago. So we were ready to take advantage of the pandemic, thank God, or take advantage of the fact that people were locked at home.
Thanks, David. It's been super interesting hearing about your whole situation with COVID especially, and what your plans are for the future. Can't wait to see what's happening next.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.